A woman smiles, heading toward a registration desk, backpack on, ready for her new start. A man in a white jacket compliments her, but she's focused on her goals, not his words. She declares she'll get her degree fast and be fabulous, no time for distractions. He laughs, asking who doesn't like fun, but she's not interested in his games. Another woman asks if they can skip the long queue, hoping for a shortcut. A man named Taki turns, whispering he has a plan to get them ahead. A close-up shows Sabello and Kosi's intense gaze, hinting at trouble ahead. Friends gather around a shiny new car, excited for their next adventure. One friend apologizes to a comrade. Something went wrong with their plan. Another friend says sorry, looking down. The car situation clearly didn't work out. A woman pours a drink, preparing for a night she hopes will go her way. The Tando sighs, frustrated, her day already going off track. She drops her bag, telling someone they won't be talking, setting a hard boundary. She demands to be on the other side of the room, refusing to share space. She walks into an art studio, looking for a quiet place to be alone. She sits at an easel, picking up a brush, trying to focus on her art. The sun sets, the sky darkens, the day's chaos finally winding down. Late at night, she stands by her door, listening. Something's not right. She sits on her bed, tense, waiting, the quiet making her more anxious. At a counter, she talks to someone, maybe seeking help, maybe just escaping. A woman in a red bandana shrugs, dismissing something as not her concern. She looks down, unwilling to get involved in the mess unfolding around her. Another woman, adorned with beads, speaks urgently, trying to explain the situation. She picks up a red jar, examining it closely, her focus intense. Someone stands nearby, their white sneakers with red accents visible on the floor. A young man in gloves offers to clean up before anyone notices the spill. He explains his medical studies give him insight into healing and its costs. The beaded woman hesitates, then starts to speak, but trails off. She sighs, clearly frustrated by the situation and the lack of help. She adjusts her necklace, steeling herself for what comes next. A blonde woman leans forward, excited to finally meet her friend's circle. The beaded woman smiles brightly, ready to dive into the party atmosphere. The city skyline glows at night, a full moon casting an eerie light over rooftops. At the party, the beaded woman laughs, dancing among the colorful crowd. A blonde woman greets a man warmly, pulling him into the festive scene. Guests mingle around a table laden with drinks and glowing star decorations. Friends share drinks and laughter, the party buzzing with energy and chatter. Two people sit at a table, clinking bottles as music pulses around them. A man in a striped shirt says goodbye, promising to see Nady on campus. He smiles softly, clearly pleased with how the night turned out. A woman at a party says she's got someone, but her friend wants to leave immediately. Her friend admits she doesn't want to be there, holding a bottle, looking uneasy. In a hallway, she asks if her friend can hear drums, her voice low and urgent. Zodwa sings in the dark, calling to ancestors, his face tense with focus. The credits roll, listing stunts, animal handlers, and catering staff. Previously, a man tells another all his money is gone, standing by a car. A quiet street at night, empty and still, trees casting long shadows. The woman with beaded braids asks if the drums are heard often, her tone serious. A young man smiles brightly outdoors, sunlight catching his cheerful expression. A woman with silver hair walks past a painting of an elder holding a cup. In class, a teacher announces a research project, students listening intently. She smiles, holding a pen, explaining the assignment with clear confidence. A student in a patterned shirt looks down, then slowly lifts his head, thoughtful. He stares ahead, jaw tight, as classmates move around him in the classroom. In the cafeteria, a friend greets him. "What's up, dog?" as others laugh. A red sneaker taps a phone on the floor, the owner unaware of the drop. A man in a plaid shirt asks, "CBD?" while looking at a bottle on the table. Chaos erupts as someone stands up, others reacting with surprise and laughter. The woman with silver hair says firmly, "There was no need." She adds, to just stop and nurse a gift, her voice calm but firm. A man whispers, "The surrender," his voice heavy with regret. Two friends walk outside, one shocked she's back this year. They share a smile, a moment of easy understanding. He kneels on the grass, asking her for a real date. She starts to speak, her words full of meaning. They stand together in the park, a crowd watching nearby. She records a podcast, mentioning Dr. Nkosi from last time. He lies back, imagining life trapped in a concrete jungle. She moves through a room, another person behind her. She tells him plainly, and I won't deny it. He admits his desire got the better of him. A wide shot shows a city stretching into the hazy distance. He tells her words about nature deeply moved him. She sits alone, lost in thought, hand on her neck. She texts on her phone, surrounded by schoolwork. She calls someone. Sharp, I'll see you now. He asks, how else am I going to ensure? He sits on a couch as another man stands over him. 3 women argue loudly at a table, drinks in hand. She breaks down, crying hard at the table. 3 women gather around a girl lying still on a bed, their hands moving over her as if trying to help. One woman asks if the girl knows what she's doing, her voice full of doubt and concern. The woman in the red cap lifts a doll, chanting as the girl on the bed stays motionless, eyes closed. The girl on the bed gasps, her body jerking as if waking from a deep, unnatural sleep. A thick mist swirls, hiding something unseen. A voice whispers, "Let her spirit be controllable." The girl sits up, staring at the woman in the red cap, who tells her to sit at the top of the bed. The woman in the red cap says, "You were in a trance," her tone serious and firm. She continues, "If you are a gifted person," her words hanging heavy in the air. The girl on the bed snaps, "You're talking nonsense," refusing to believe what she just heard. The woman in the red cap stands, holding a bowl, her gaze locked on the girl who won't listen. A young man stares at another, his face tight with worry, unsure what to say next. The woman in the red cap urges, "Isolate and listen," her voice urgent, demanding attention. A man leans over a railing, looking down, his hands gripping the metal as if bracing for something. He loses his balance, his body tumbling over the railing in a blur of motion. He lies still on the ground, unmoving, as another man rushes toward him from the doorway. The man kneels beside him, checking for signs of life, his hands shaking with fear. A penguin stands alone in the snow as the words "PENGOIN films appear in bold white letters. The girl cries out, "My child," her voice breaking as she holds her hand to her chest. The young man cries, his face twisted in pain, unable to hold back his tears. The girl sits alone, scrolling on her yellow phone, her expression lost in thought. A woman speaks urgently, her voice heavy with concern. She pulls another woman close, whispering, "I'm sorry." A girl bursts from water, arms wide, gasping for air. In a crowded hall, a woman stares at her phone, stunned. A man at a mic announces plans to expand campus services. Students rush downstairs, panic spreading through the hall. The woman with beads nods, saying, "Okay, okay." A boy confronts others, frustrated. "How many times?" A woman in a head wrap folds clothes, lost in thought. She whispers, "Just for being here and helping me." The woman with beads speaks softly, her voice steady. She pleads, "Move away, please," as tension rises. Alone in the woods, the woman in white looks down, quiet. A teacher gestures toward a diagram, explaining anatomy. She tells a student, "Calm down, it's not primary school." He begs, "If I can write this test again, I can." She cuts him off. She tells him firmly, "I can't discuss other students' marks." The woman with beads agrees, "That's true." The boy leans in close, speaking softly to her. She reassures him, "It's all right," her voice gentle. A woman lies on the floor, her voice trembling as she speaks. A man asks her how they could put her in such a situation. He demands to know why she was left with seizures. A girl in pink walks away from a group on the steps. She mutters that the people here are squares. A man in a car stares ahead, his voice calm but firm. A hand holds up a small animal's skull, calling it a gift. The woman touches her beaded hair, listening intently. She kneels, arranging items on a small altar with care. She turns, her voice low as she speaks to someone off-screen. She closes her eyes, whispering a prayer to the Creator. The girl in pink cries, begging for hope and healing. She sobs, her voice breaking as she pleads for relief. She looks up at the sky, tears streaming down her face. The woman in beads comforts her, placing a hand on her chest. In a car, the girl whispers, unsure of what she just saw. A voice tells her she was in a trance, not in control. The woman in beads speaks of a messenger yet to be revealed. They stand face to face, hands clasped, sharing a quiet moment. A waterfall crashes into a deep gorge, sunlight piercing through. Zadwa laughs off the tension, calling it roommate drama. She looks up, her voice light, but her words heavy. He tells her not to deny herself the love she needs. He insists she needs it right now, no arguments. She agrees to buy the morning latte, rolling her eyes. Her friend waves her hands, telling her to calm down. A man leans in behind her as she sits at the table. She stares ahead, insisting Spoo didn't take his own life. He tries to explain himself, knowing how it sounds. She admits the death is too much to carry alone. Students sit outside a modern school building, chatting. She sips water, trying to make sense of her vision. She whispers, shocked at the words coming out of her mouth. Her friend calls out to her, but she doesn't turn. A photo frame sits beside a bowl of dried herbs on a table. She hunches over, her voice barely above a whisper. A student turns in class, looking over his shoulder. He grabs his notebook, muttering a sharp, "Yes." She bolts upright, eyes wide with sudden fear. She leans against the bed, breathing hard, trying to steady herself. A man shouts in panic, blaming himself for a death. He doesn't know what to do next. The sun sets over a quiet neighborhood. Power lines stretch across the fading sky. A young man urges someone forward, his voice calm but firm. He won't let them hesitate. He gently holds her face, offering comfort. She whispers, "Okay," and leans into his touch. A woman confronts a man, demanding answers about their breakup. She won't let it go. She walks alone at night, her steps slow. The house ahead glows with warm light. She stands at the doorway, facing a man in a plaid shirt. He steps back, letting her in. The door closes behind them. Silence falls over the porch. No one sees what happens inside. The young man lingers outside, watching the house. He doesn't move. He can't leave yet. A girl in orange sits on a bed, holding a small object. She says, "Thank you," softly. She stares ahead, listening. Her voice is low, her words heavy with meaning. She speaks of rivers, waterfalls, dams. Something deeper is being explained to her. A sketchbook opens to a detailed drawing of an elder. The voice says, "Dreams reveal truth." She lowers her gaze, absorbing the words. Her silence speaks louder than any reply. The credits roll, naming the creators. The story pauses, but the tension lingers. A penguin stands alone in snow. The logo, PENG foams it, appears behind it. The young man leans forward, speaking with quiet confidence. He knows more than he lets on. A forest path winds through trees. Sunlight filters down. Someone is coming this way. A woman in red and green smiles, speaking to someone named Nathando. Water is home. Two girls face each other, eyes locked. Their names appear, Nozuko and Zeno. The story begins. A woman talks about people who see numbers and know everything. She gives herself as an example, trying to make a point. She admits the incense suffocated her, but insists it worked. Another woman hands her a book, saying the messenger speaks many ways. She laughs, admitting she's never opened a Bible in her life. She watches as the other woman bends down, searching for something. A young man stares ahead, headphones around his neck, lost in thought. A woman asks if someone knows Professor Smith, seeking information. She leans in, curious, asking, "What is it?" with urgency. Students sit in class as someone calls out, "Hey," to get attention. The woman slumps in a chair, arms crossed, looking defeated. She looks up and says, "Problems, friend," with a heavy sigh. A man tells her he understands her grief, trying to comfort her. She listens, silent, as his words hang in the air between them. She vows, "Next time I won't be so lax," promising change. Hands carefully open a small green bottle, revealing its contents. A young man holds a dropper, examining the liquid with focus. He studies the dropper, his expression serious and thoughtful. Fingers twist the cap back on the bottle, sealing it tight. A man turns to her, confused, and asks, "What?" with surprise. A man tells a woman she's the last person he'll warn about something. He refuses her help, saying he doesn't need this kind of attention. A small green button sits alone on a wooden desk, ignored. In a lecture hall, students write exams. One girl smiles at her paper. She stands up, grabbing her pen, ready to answer a tough question. A friend teases another, calling him dog and laughing it off. Two men stand in a room, one leaning against a doorframe, tense. The friend smiles, trying to lighten the mood between them. He walks down a hallway, heading for a door marked with an exit sign. He opens the door, stepping into a bright, unknown room. The man in plaid sits alone, earbuds in, lost in his own world. He leans forward, focused on something only he can see. He suddenly grabs the window blinds, coughing hard as he struggles. Outside, the girl in the colorful shirt looks down, worried. A guard in a red beret shouts, asking if Nathie is in trouble. He rushes in as she kneels beside Nathie, yelling for an ambulance. Two women sit at a table, one wearing a satin bonnet, listening. They raise their drinks, relieved Nathie is safe and recovering. One woman says she's just glad Nathie made it through okay. They share a quiet moment, grateful the crisis is over. Two women chat in a salon, one sings while the other holds a book. A man and woman stand close. She calls him baby as he agrees. One woman laughs, saying her friend is busy saving lives. A woman in red stares ahead, her voice tight with concern. She gasps, "Oh, Nathie, my goodness," hearing about an incident. She turns, asking sharply, "You hate him?" needing an answer. She hesitates, whispering, "I don't know," unsure of her feelings. The man pulls her close, comforting her as she leans into him. Credits roll for the first assistant director, production manager, and designer. A penguin stands alone in snow as Penguin Foams appears on screen. A Pervils Leon tag flashes as the woman in red turns away. In a lab, a man in plaid stares at another beside a collapsed woman. The plaid shirt man frowns, asking, "What?" confused by the situation. The younger man says, "So from one sicko to another," implying blame. The woman lies bleeding on a table. "She wanted to expose you," is said. The young man meets the older man's gaze. "Leave that to me." A couple picnics in a sunlit park, sharing food under red-flowered trees. The plaid shirt man walks down a hall looking over his shoulder. A man in a red beret orders, "I want you to get Machunu, urgently." The young man sits alone, swearing under his breath while checking his phone. A man on the phone asks if he's good to go, sounding eager for action. The city sleeps under a dark, quiet sky, hiding what's about to unfold. A man in a plaid shirt sits alone, his head bowed in deep thought. He stares at a bottle on his desk, his mind heavy with unseen worries. His hand moves toward a drawer, as if searching for something important. A woman sleeps in her room, unaware of the chaos starting outside. Outside, a girl sits on the grass at night, looking lost and alone. Another girl rushes to her, asking what's wrong, her voice full of concern. She kneels beside her friend, trying to calm her down with gentle words. Back in her room, the sleeping woman stirs, sensing something is off. She wakes up suddenly, grabbing her phone as if expecting bad news. She answers, saying she's coming, her voice urgent and ready to move. She runs out of her room, meeting a man who stands waiting for her. The two friends embrace tightly, sharing a moment of comfort and care. The man looks down, his face unreadable, his thoughts locked away. The girl sits by the bed, preparing something with quiet focus. She speaks to her friend, her voice hesitant, unsure of what to say. She tells her friend she thinks she's judging someone too harshly. A man stands before two others, holding a small object, ready to speak. A girl in a blue bandana smiles, saying it's okay, they'll call it even. A woman in a blue bandana walks away, her mind heavy with secrets. A man stands in a classroom, scanning the room, searching for answers. A girl confronts him, demanding to know what he's hiding from her. A man challenges a woman, "You can't keep a secret, huh?" She fires back, "It's my reputation on the line." She won't back down. The woman walks off, confident she's in control of the situation. The woman in blue glares, realizing the danger she stepped into. A woman in shell bead sighs. Again. She's seen this before. She decides, "I'll just speak with my spiritual teacher. No more waiting." The woman in blue warns, "We are not qualified for these things." An elder woman listens, her face unreadable, her wisdom deep. Two women whisper urgently, "Evil, evil." They sense dark forces. The woman in orange peers around a corner, sensing something wrong. They kneel before candles, performing a ritual to ward off the unknown. The elder speaks, "When you got a new roommate," her tone is grave. The woman in red warns, "Those kind of people, my child." Boys argue in a hallway, tensions rising over something said in class. One boy recalls, "In class earlier this week, I think." Another boy closes his eyes, trying to forget what he saw. They lie together, exhausted, seeking comfort after a long, strange day.